and just hit the record button.
Oh, and he has spoken, all seeing, all knowing, all in control. Paul, you want to kick us off here with labels limit? We're at 30 days of thought. We're back.
Oh, it's not
Yeah, we
labia's
are.
limit.
Okay.
I prepared for the wrong thing. I thought it was labia's limit. I'm sorry. Shoot.
We are live, and this is perfect. We should stay live.
That was being recorded. I'll just have you know. Okay. So
welcome to the Culture Matters podcast.
So thank you for having us. I'm assuming we're all good. I decided to use my phone today versus my computer simply because I felt that this was a little bit cleaner. I was looking at the last video we did, and I felt like I just looked like a ghost kind of washed out in the background. So I got me a better light, kind of like one of these, we'll call it it's not a ring light, but it's better. All right, here we are, 30 days of thought, labels limit. I read it. I actually, believe it or not, listened to your podcast last night as I drifted off to sleep to kind of get your take on it. And I thought your take was really good. This was from a few months ago. Jay, you did it?
Yeah.
And I thought it was good. Now, the excerpt's pretty long, so I don't know if we want to read through the entire excerpt. I've got my opinions about what it means. How do you want to kick off, brother?
Yeah, I'd say let's not read it and let's just go into it. Because I'd like to challenge or read parts that stand out to you, but I think some degree of responsibility should fall on the listener to pick up the book and, follow along with us.
I would agree 100%. So, okay, so you want me to kick it off. All right, well, number one, I did not write anything down. I kind of kept this all in my mind because, the title alone kind of says it, right? Labels limit. But when I really started to read through it, and if I was pulling from what I felt the book was speaking to me, was that, throughout our lives, we all somehow put a label upon ourselves, or others will label us as a particular type of person, a particular job title you may have, let's say, as life moves forward. And we kind of live to become whatever that might be. Let's just say, for example, I'm a marketing officer, right? So there's certain things or certain proclivities, certain things that might come with that title. And when you're in a group setting, like we are right now, there's the three of us, and we're having dialogue and discussion. The way I took the chapter was sometimes you got to leave all that at the door. All those titles, all those labels, all those things kind of at the door, and let your mind just kind of be opened and flow. Like you said, the body is made of water and water continues to flow. And my thought process was that in order for us to evolve, in order for us to continue to grow, the label actually puts a hard stop there. The label is actually holding you back, maybe from sharing what you think or exploring or being more curious, because, well, I'm this person, I'm this entity, I'm this title, and therefore I'm kind of limited on what my thoughts might be. Not only that, but what I can say. And I'm going to kind of leave it at that, because that's kind of what I got from it. I think that the idea is, if you want to grow and you want to evolve and you want to become more of yourself, the best version of yourself, you have to drop the labels, the titles, and all that baggage, and be open to the possibility that, your opinion might actually matter in an arena that you may not have full expertise in. And so those are the things that I got out of it.
Andrew?
So, I read it, and I kind of wrote down my notes, and then I went back to see, like, when I first went through the book to see what I wrote then, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm the same person. Like it is, and I'm sure some of these things are going to differ from I don't know, so I guess 3 years ago, I guess, when I first went through the book to now. But basically my thing is, so and much like as Paul was saying, like labels limit, labels inhibit. They inhibit from us from being like who we can become, because we're defined by these titles. Whether it could be dad, could be could be chief marketing officer, could be all of the could be you know you can call me a jug of water. I mean, I'm 60% water. There's like 13. I think I did the math before. It's like 13.5 gallons of water, that you're looking at right here. So like I'm basically a jug of water. But if that's all I am, and if you use that label on me, even though that's what I mostly am, I'm not going to be able to do all the things, and I'm not going to be able to be, a good, dad, husband, head of engagement and outreach, entrepreneur, all the things that I know I am. So yeah, labels limit, labels, inhibit, but we're always looking for shortcuts, because shortcuts help us actually understand who we are. We go to a cocktail party, what's the first thing you say? Actually, in many cases, if it's if it's not something work related, you say, so what do you do for a living? Because this helps us actually. Oh, so you're a financial advisor. Oh, you're a teacher. Now all of a sudden we're actually defining ourselves. We're defining the person that we're meeting by these labels. So, Jay, tell us. So are we, when you kind of wrote this, are we on the path that you were hoping the reader would go?
I'm also thinking about, am I what I've done, or how much of who I am is what I've done?
Mm. Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay. Whether that could be something I'm proud of or something I'm ashamed of. Like, let's
Well,
think of like yeah, Paul.
well, you're opening up yeah, I know, I believe I know where you're headed. And, I've had conversations at length with other individuals about us becoming who we are over time. So, uh, I was just going to say that was an interruption right there, is what that was. What I was going to say was, we do become our jobs. I remember having this discussion many, many, many years ago with a brother-in-law of mine. And he said, isn't it interesting how we become our jobs? How, depending, I go back to what I did way, way back in the past to what I do now. And I think it does change you a little bit. But isn't it fair to say we are the sum of our experiences? So if we stick with that premise, we're the sum of our experiences. We're a little bit of everything that we've done over time. And I think what makes that a beautiful thing is, depending on what conversations we're in, depending on who we're talking to, depending on where we are at, you could draw from that, from the past and from the present. And I think that that's kind of a beautiful thing. I think that's something that we all should be able to do, even if that past might be dark. Because if you have the ability to get past the your own pride, if you will, to share some of that, I believe, and I think 30 Days of Thought is designed to do, is to help you push forward, to pull through, to share, and be able to do it unequivocally. In other words, without any what's the word I'm looking for? And forgive me, but the idea would be from holding you back from doing just that. So yes, we're the sum of our experiences. Today I'm a marketing officer. Today you're a Culture Matters podcast guru. I want to say aficionado of life experiences, and you are sharing those things with everybody that you can encounter. You have to be willing to shed your skin a little bit, leave your baggage at the door, and be able to do that. And that takes a certain type of person, and it takes some guts too. Because remember our last discussion, was it life lesson?
Yeah.
We were talking about, what other people might think if we share something, what their thoughts would be. I feel like this book keeps going back to stuff like that. I really, really do. The more I read it, the more I see how it's all intertwined. Anyway.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it, and it's uh, that's why one of the values, the utility of 30 Days of Thought is that it really becomes the reader's book, because
Yes.
I'm really, as the author, it's a meditation for me. I'm like a sacrificial lamb. I'm setting myself up for the slaughter.
Yeah.
These are these are these are these are this is a journal that shouldn't have been published,
Hmm.
revealing my own autobiography. And it's
Well
riddled in
said.
contradiction. It's riddled in sin and shame and guilt and suffering and glimmers of hope and reason and idealism. Like, labels limit, they're okay. So there are things in my past I could be proud of that could actually undermine my future success. There are things in my past I'm ashamed of that are undermining my present value
Mhm.
Yeah.
as a
Oh.
person. Like, and I'm not, trying to make that statement owning I want to at least own that for myself, but I'm at the same time, I'm not of the belief that I am alone in that as an individual, as a representative of individuality. I just don't want to say to the audience, or like, I think that's something that is a part of being an individual. So for example, we've had a great couple years in business. That success can easily create a label, a concept that we're the shit, that we understand culture. We're doing everything right. But that idea of everything right, I might need that feelings be based on other things that are hidden in the fog that I am ashamed of, or I haven't reconciled with, or I'm unclear on, I have yet to process. And then on the other side of things, I can speak also. There are things that I'm sabotaging myself based on the past, at varying degrees. That I'm being overly critical and hard on myself.
Yeah.
There's that shame. So it's like a pendulum between pride and shame. And by the way, I'll throw another thing in that we can unpack. And then I'm reminded how important labels are. Like, that came to, rule number one in Beyond Order: do not carelessly denigrate social institutions or creative achievement. So we can talk about that, how much since I wrote this and my victim self, how much I've come to appreciate. Man, maybe I should have got that GED. Maybe I
Right.
should have. Maybe I should. Maybe I should have respected the teacher. Maybe maybe I should have listened to the parent. Maybe I, like, so like some of these institutions that I didn't,
They're
that I
data.
couldn't hear. Go ahead.
It,
Yeah.
it's data. And what you do with that, when someone said, actually, you're shit, like, you can actually take that as I am shit. I am, and take that as a label, or you could take that as, hey, something. This is data. So this person feels like I am shit. What did I do? How did I do wrong? And then actually, and at some point, you can become the shit. And it's like, you're and if you embrace that, it's all.
Well, I think you're 60% shit.
Okay. So Andrew, you guys bring up two really good points, because I'm going to tell you where my head went last night as I indulged this. Depending on what the label is, could be very limiting. Therefore, labels lift, because there could be, it depends on the label. Because at the end of the day, if you have a label or a title or whatever you've strived for, whether it's that GED or it's a Bachelor in Fine Arts or whatever it might be, that actually could give you the motivation and the confidence to speak up. Where I think we're really going here, but and I say this is so open-ended, it could go anywhere, but let's think this through. So if it's a positive label, it could give you the catalyst and the confidence, and therefore the catalyst to speak up, right? Because I've got a background, I've got knowledge, I'm a smart person, right? If you are someone that's been labeled over the years as a degenerate, nobody's interested in what you have to say, right? But you might have something very compelling and very big to contribute. That's what your book was trying to say. Because the thing that sucks about labels, whether good labels, bad labels, or labels at all, is you talked about the purgatory, kind of being stuck in this place. I was trying to understand what that means is, but I think I got it, because if I'm in I can't get out of this my own hell. I've already painted a picture of who I am, who I want to be. And now I have something to say that might actually bring value to this conversation, but nobody gives a rat's ass about what I have to say because it doesn't fit within that circle of knowledge. It might not really be valued as being something that can be contributory, if you will, if I could use that as a word. So to me, labels limit, but labels could also lift, because if I'm a doctor, or I have a PhD, the whole room might hush and listen to what I might have to say. And I could be saying a lot of nothing, but my label gave me the carte blanche to speak forward. And so to me, I want to throw that on the table too.
I think I've always had, whether I realize it or not, some confrontation with label. Like as a very young child, always being a conversation would subtly come up, regularly, like about mom. It's like, oh, your real, is that your real mom? Something as subtle as that. Because people may, for whatever reason, be tuned in to my autobiography. And then, because obviously, those that don't know, that are listening, I was taken in by my mom, Barbara, as a baby. Right? There's a lot of ways to say that. I try to say it today in a more, as much of an honoring way as possible. And it wasn't always the feeling, which was, but there's a lot of confusion around that. It's like, what does real mean? What do you mean by real?
Yeah. What do you mean by mom?
Yeah, so for a young child to be confronted with that, I think creates philosophical, juices. Yeah, maybe, and with every blessing, there's a curse. Every curse, there's a blessing. I mean, maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation right now, in the absence of that. But just in that autobiographical sense, something as subtle as that. What's real, mom? Fake mom, real mom? What's that mean? Who am I? What does that mean? What is that? I was taking a course recently in the Peterson Academy, which I highly recommend. It's called the Boy Crisis, and it's by Dr. Will Farrell. And he talked about how, unbeknownst to parents, whenever that one belittles or undermines the other, it actually has a negative consequence to the child below their awareness. The child actually doesn't know how to process it, and it takes it, and the child will take it personally. So it's one of the ways that parents undermine their children, is that they actually undermine the parent, because the child is part of the parent, both parents, and they don't know how to process it. So I think that that was at a very young age something that created confusion and maybe a degree of rebelliousness around labels. And you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater,
Right.
Because Paul, you said something important earlier about, because there's two ways to look, the PhD for every let's say 9 out of 10 cheated on their tests, but like 1 out of 10 didn't.
Right.
And we're, as a tribe, we're really glad they took those extracurricular courses around the heart.
Right.
Because, oh, why is my chest beating? Oh, you're having a heart attack. That was the PhD doctor that didn't cheat on the test or what have you.
Right.
So yeah, like the first sentence to me that I've like tried to read 7 times. It's such a obtuse sentence. Limitations are the non-physical chains of mediocrity. I mean, right there it says,
Yeah.
there's a lot of pain in that statement. Scarcity bias. Like, what am I actually trying to say? I think that we're imperfect. You make mistakes. Like, I've made a lot of mistakes. Am I my mistakes, or am I more than that? And then there's a call to action. Like, I want to have a degree of compassion for the loser, for the downtrodden, not to the point where I entitle them and do everything for them. I still want to judge the loser. Like, you're a loser, meaning you're not a loser, but you're losing.
Right.
So can we stop acting like a loser? Can
And
we
help
be
them
a winner?
help
Like
them break from their label.
what Andrew said earlier about your shit. It's like, well, wait, maybe what you did was shit. So are you 37.8% shit, or are you 99.9% shit? What percentage of your behavior? Well, yeah, it's what percentage of my behavior earns the label shit? Is it 10%? Is it 7? It's like, well, man, I could be better. I
Yeah.
could do better. But give me a chance. And then maybe I need to give myself a chance. When am I going to give myself a break? Am I just going to carry this around forever? And then I say this, it's like everything.
So
Yeah. Andrew.
So maybe it's that you have to identify that a label is a temporary state. It's a categorization of what your actions are. Like and I've always tried to do this, and I don't know that it really has much difference for my children, but in theory, like my meaning. So I'll say you did something stupid, not you are stupid. Like this is a big thing. Like, you are acting like the like a degenerate. You're not a degenerate. Anyone who is a degenerate, unless they have some kind of mental issues that are keeping them down, cannot be a degenerate. So these labels are temporary states. You can be known as a billionaire, but then actually you can be known as a philanthropist. These are ways that we can categorize your set of actions that we're looking at you from this lens at that moment in time.
Bravo, buddy. That was really well said. That actually made really good sense to me, because it goes back to the sum of our experiences.
But Andrew, you're not great. That was just a great thing.
Yeah. I thought Andrew was the shit right there. I don't know about you guys, but see, Andrew's evolving, man. There you go. I totally get that. And look, again, this is so open ended, because it depends on how you spin it. Let's be real here. As you grow, as you grow into who you are, you're growing towards something, right? And Andrew said it. You're kind of being categorized along the way. We all could wear different hats, different badges, different marquees, whatever you want to say. depending on where we're at in the cycle of our experience. And to me, you know, I guess what we're saying is don't let any one of those labels limit you from becoming whatever the next label might be. That's another way to look at it too. So you had a hard story, and what makes you interesting and what makes you, people want to hear what you have to say is you came, as you said, from some level of adversity, and you overcame that, and you became this other guy. So to me, the prior label is what it's like. I'm interested in hearing what this guy has to say. He's
Do you
been,
think it is about us that's interested in that story of redemption?
because we all go through something like that in our lives. We all can relate to that. We all know what it feels like to feel either ashamed or to feel like not being good enough, or what does it take to be better? And then when you find out somebody who even had less than you or went through a more difficult time than you did is able to recover and then prosper going forward, you go, wow, okay, you know what, there's hope for me. I think we all, I'll tell you. So listen, I'm gonna digress for a second. I think that social media has opened up that door to allow us all now to share our experiences. Oh wow, there are other people going through the same thing I'm going through. Same, it could be catastrophic illnesses. It could be, accomplishing something great in your life. And yet there's always something that comes with that territory that people want to go, did this ever happen to you? Have you ever had this experience? It's kind of weird. I don't know if it's just me. No, it's not. There's a million other people that had that same experience. No shit. So yeah, you're not that special anymore. Actually, that's just a human thing. I mean, the bottom line is when you look at it, I think we as humans need to commune. We're looking for that camaraderie. We're looking for that interaction. And I think depending on what your label is at that moment, are you invited in the circle to share? You could have a group of people that are not highly educated, let's say, that are not that open to the guy that's super educated to come into the conversation. And it could go the other way around. Excuse me, this is for the adults here. You might want to go over there and go play in the sandbox. I mean, like, the idea is that's what we do as humans. And so the question really is, why do we have the need to do that? Why can't we just level the playing field, put all the baggage out there, no names, no titles? Hi, I'm here to have a conversation, but no history behind it, and just let the conversations begin. And I wonder what people would have to say. And the person in the room that might actually be the least educated on the subject might have the most profound to contribute. Theoretically.
Something I've taken away from Rule 1 in Beyond Order, which is do not carelessly denigrate social institutions and creative achievements, was that the social institutions, they're the product of things beyond our comprehension. Time passing by and past generations bleeding and sweating and philosophizing like we are. And it's easy for it's maybe even natural for us to wave our placard of resentment and criticize the institution, having not, humbled ourselves and disciplined ourselves to try and be try to learn the game, essentially try to be a part. But then there's this other interesting component to that rule towards the end. It says, ultimately, once once we've mastered the game, we've learned the game, we have this responsibility to, and this is what I get from what you just said about the group, kind of pushing someone to the side. There's a responsibility for those in authority that have mastered the game or perceivably mastered the game to go against the institution. If it's corrupt, if it's going against itself and everyone else. And
see,
so, yeah. So go ahead. I will love your thoughts.
No. You bring up a really good point. You know what I thought you were going to say? It is their responsibility, since they are educated, since they do know the game, how to invite that person into the game and bring them in and bring them up. See,
that's where I think the values come in. What do you think about that?
About the values?
I think that's where that's part of the value of values to an institution is listening. If we use a practical example, what do the customer surveys say? Or, the irony of a lot of companies is, we do the employee surveys, which we don't listen to, and we don't even have customer surveys. If we had customer surveys, we wouldn't even need employee surveys.
That's interesting. Yeah, because it would speak for the employee, wouldn't it? Good point, Jay. Yeah. I was trying to sit here. There's so many thoughts swimming in my mind right now, but I was, and I don't mean this. Well, I think this is it applies. In no way, shape, or form do I personally shit on the institutions. I believe how important they are. I've watched my daughter, my son become the better version of themselves as a result of obtaining a higher education. So I do believe in a higher education. I mean, I know this guy, he wrote this book, and in his book he put, read to think, write to develop, listen to what is unsaid, and speak to let go. I don't know if you know this guy, but anyway,
I'm trying to figure it out.
I know it's tough. And just that motto, those pillars right there, speak to everything you need to know, because the idea is that's how we evolve. It is our responsibility to each of us to continue the quest. The more you know, you learn, the more you realize you don't know anything, right? Or what you thought you knew. And so to me, I am a big, a proponent of the idea of, and a champion of, continued education, no different than we're doing right now. So technically, I do believe in it, and I know it's a good thing. But at the same time, you can't get too high on yourself. And if you get too high on yourself, false idols, what was that other chapter we read? I forget which one it is, but it's perfect. I feel like I want to go find it again. But it speaks to kind of that thing, how we pedestalize certain individuals, and if they speak, it means something, and it means more than if somebody else says something. And the truth of the matter is, it might, but I think we all need to be, if we're truly going to elevate ourselves to be the better version of ourselves, then we need to be more open to letting people in and listening and understanding and being more empathetic. I know I'm going down a slightly different path here, but I feel like that plays into this a little bit. Don't let your own label limit you from being a good listener.
I like that, because I think I'm trying to say that in this thought, that look at people for who they could be, not what they appear.
Beautifully said. Love it.
That's good. It's kind of like a call to action. Therefore they had no lid. Their alignment with self and their personal power is infused into the culture around them as clues necessary to make this assertion. Labels limit as specialization kills curiosity. Curiosity breeds intelligence, and intelligence is the bridge from the unknown to the known, and instinct to spirit. If I have a position of authority, I'm perceived as truth with a capital T within a context. Could be like, somebody new to the mortgage business
Right.
that aspires to be an advisor to people borrowing debt to achieve their American dream, their American gift, their home. I'm aspiring to be that advisor. The person that's my mentor, implicitly through title, they're positionally more successful. I look up to them. How they relate to me increases or decreases the likelihood of my success. We all have that story, somebody taking some time to mentor us.
That's right.
Their curiosity of who we could become.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're hitting home with me right now.
Could help us our idealized self. Like, I could do that too. I could be that. And maybe that's enough euphoria, elevation, excitement to discipline ourselves to do the work. Maybe to stay a little bit later after work, or not to leave, it's Thirsty Thursday or whatever. Or go with our peers who are denigrating the social institution. Oh, we'll never be that successful. That person, they get all the leads. They were born on third base. Like, now they're going against the mentors.
Yeah, you opened up something with me right now. Now let me share with you guys. So this would be me kind of sharing a special thing. So after this session, shortly thereafter, I will be going to my uncle's memorial. He passed away this year in August, just before his 92nd birthday, or excuse me, his 93rd birthday. And he was my mentor. And that's part of what I'm going to talk about today, which will be uncomfortable because a lot of people that are going to be there today are people I do not even know. The family that will be there is going to actually be relatively small by comparison. But anyway, the point is, he was one of those people that believed in me, saw something in me, and championed me at a time in my life that I was going through that was a little bit tough. I was a little off road. I couldn't quite figure out where I wanted to go, who I wanted to be, what label I wanted to have, whatever. And he helped me get there because he saw the potential. And so I think, to your point, mentorship is super important, which goes back to my point about inviting certain people into the circle. Because what a game changer that could be, that you could change somebody's life or inspire them by giving them a glimpse into what they could be, what's out there for them. I think knowledge, man, is probably one of the most beautiful things. And it also could be a double-edged sword. There's a lot of stuff available to us through the power of the internet, obviously, and through social media that can go the other way too. Now you have to be good at discerning what you're reading, listening to, etc. But generally speaking, to your point, I love the mentorship piece, Jay. I think that's super, super important in almost everyone's life. I really do. I think everybody needs a kick in the ass.
So
or a hand up.
My kick in the ass was I mean, Jay, you had a profound impact on me. You actually, you like kind of let me or guided me, and it's not like, it's not like there was anything you told me that wasn't already out there that I didn't know, but I just wasn't focusing on it. And what's interesting is some of those things actually were actually labels, like, embracing that I was a publisher. It was a magazine publisher. Like I was it was weird. Like I always tried to get away from the magazine publisher thing. And I just remember, exactly where I was walking, and we had this conversation, and it was a point where NMP, was just doing okay. And where we were, we were doing good work, and it was okay. Our content was good, but like where I really embraced what we were and the power that we were and what we could do. And I think actually that sent us on a trajectory that created us in a much more significant influential place. And I feel it's probably what, what also led, to being looked at as an acquisition target. So it was, yeah, there's definitely the power of a mentor. There's nothing that can help make you so you're not a sum of all of your experience, but you're a multiple of all your experience. So rather than being, this plus this, but like, being a multiple, meaning you can go like almost potentially exponentially, because you have this multiplying, and that's because it's like I hear you say some, and I'm like, yeah, you're some from this, and this, but it's almost like it's like a multiple of this experience on top of this experience, make you actually, so you can potentially have multiple labels, so then you can become some big master label of something like, billionaire, philanthropist, just king of the world,
or jack of all trades,
master
Jokes.
of none.
And listen, you bring up a good point. You know what you made me think of, Andrew, when we had that discussion about going exponential, and I was using the analogy back then of torque multiplication. Remember the horsepower and torque multiplication?
Sure.
That's exactly what ends up happening. But guys, think about it like this too. When a mentor comes to you or somebody gives you a hand up, it's a lot easier for you to go that route, because they're already saying, hey, look, I'm going to help you get there. I'm going to help you through the uncomfortable. I'm going to help you get there. Here's the first step. Follow my lead. Let me share with you. Let me help you get there. And to me, once that that match is lit and it starts to burn, that fuse, it goes. It's really an amazing thing. And to your point, you're right, Andrew. It does. It could go exponential. I agree with that.
I really appreciate you guys showing up today, because I had an inkling that my day was going to get better after this. After this, and it deeply has. You wake up on the wrong side of the bed, or you wake up and someone sent me this message earlier, who I deeply care about. They're a great person. They go, "It's a great day to be alive. Hope you have a great one too." So I said, "It's a terrible day to be alive. Hope you have an existential epiphany around fear and trembling." I try to think of things in backwards. It's funny because it's sad that I would even say that to this person. Like, it's because I wasn't having a great day. Like, today has not been a great day. Not even close. It's been a real day. It's been a real day. A day of, and in an ironic sense, it's been a really great day, because there's been awareness and revelation and truth and pain and suffering as a consequence of awareness and revelation and pain and truth. I've really been working on myself. And it's like I'm always working, but it's like, it's funny, because if I'm always working on myself, am I really working on myself? But I'm breaking. And so, of course, I talked to them. We're laughing through that text exchange, and that might be more appropriate for a phone call later. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for showing up, because as if in some label I'm a mentor in one context, this opens up the mentor-mentee relationship, which I think is more of has a relationship with the neighbor. It doesn't have to be patriarchal, top down, or patriarchal. Is it like iron fist top down? As a advisor, as a I'm called different things. Mentor, role model makes me what? But I learned from Andrew, Paul, those that, like, all of our client partners. I can attest to doing 3 episodes a day, this increase of activity has a consequence from a conversation I had with Christine from chapter 3 of High, like when I was like, I could be doing a lot more and I'm capable, so why don't I just do more?
Mhm.
So I'm learning constantly from you guys, and I appreciate the accountability today, because accountability, you showing up, I knew I would feel better after having this conversation, or I believed that. I didn't know it because I'm not all knowing and all seeing, but I believed that I would be better after this conversation. And today has been a day of paradox, which is why I responded to our friend with that perceivably terrible statement, which they understood.
That's
And
your cynical dark side. That's all.
yeah, like, is it really? It's all backwards. So that's what's really going on. And I'm their accountability, and they're mine, and you guys are mine. Because, right, if I was well, I would have not written this. I would have been a stockbroker.
Interesting.
So yeah, I'd be something else. So yeah, I think that needs to be said in all this, is for this to be at least authentic to me, is this process is all of our process. I am looking back at 30 Days of Thought and going through the book again for the Culture Matters podcast, doing these episodes with you guys, and I'm more proud of who I am today. Like, yeah, okay, I'm growing through this process. This is a meditation.
Hmm.
I get to benefit from this process if I let myself. Like, the author label has to go below the student label,
Boom. Boom. You just said it.
or else it's just a really poorly written book.
No.
It's like that first sentence kills me. That was I saying, but yeah, so what do you guys think in closing, right? How do we wrap this up with a bow before we go to oh God, it gets worse as we go through the next excerpt. Oh.
I mean, I think you just go ahead, Andrew. You close it out, buddy.
So labels are tags, like the way you would tag a document, the way you would tag, a reminder. There are things actually that kind of help you categorize things so you could reference them later, but they shouldn't be limiters. And today you can be looking at today as being a shit day or being the shit day. And that's basically what we've witnessed here, from Jay waking up having this is a shit day to, now he's getting off this freaking podcast saying this day is the shit.
That like a mic drop moment right there.
We if anyone listening to this, if you're still listening to this and you're maybe even with friends, this is a good conversation starter for you and your friends to get together and talk about our thoughts on my thoughts, share with each other your thoughts on our thoughts and my thoughts. Please leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast. Listen along. Paul and Andrew, myself, are going to be doing a lot more of these as we go through 30 Days of Thought. And thank you guys so much for showing up today. It means a lot. And our next one is what is it?
Mom is next.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I'm looking forward to honoring
me too.
all of our, each of us maybe to honor. Yeah,
I'm
what's that
looking forward to
reveal?
honoring Barbara more than I am my mom, which is probably
Episode
a
242.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's revealing into itself. Well, you have about a week to prepare, so you've got a few phone calls to make before our next. Yeah, that'll make this easier for you. Man, this is fun. I don't want it to end, but with all that, thank you all for listening to today's episodes of the Culture Matters podcast. Please invest in my book so you can live vicariously through my success. And follow 30. Yeah, Paul's like shaking his head. We'll see you next time on Culture Matters podcast.